Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. I know it's been a long time since I've posted anything RSM related, well, anything at all. However, because it's taking so long, life gets busy, I decided, why not make a development update, right? So you can actually see what's going on in RSM 3.1. I can never say that number correctly anyway. So, just in case you're wondering, this is how it looks like raw. This is the code, well, part of it. This is just the main form design. A lot of these other things also take into account, like this is the installed plugins frame and so on. Yeah, it's just you don't see this in RSM, but well, you do, but not in this way. Anyway, this is how RSM 3.1 looks like as of this video. Please do not take that number at the bottom right, the version number, the date. It's not real. It's just I have not updated that in a long time. So just to give an overall view of how this looks like and works, this is it as far as this video is. Um, so starting off, you get your server controls. So the whole reason I designed this specific screen like this is to keep it minimalistic and so you can focus more on what you actually want to do. Okay, I know the server controls looks to be duplicated in the bottom right. It's not, it's globally. You can see that everywhere you go. The whole reason for the server controls is, okay, you want to stop your server, restart it. Well, eventually more options such as auto restart options will be here as well. Infinity, you can adjust your CPU usage and so on. You get your server config, which is your basic server configuration, everything you will ever need if you are a new server owner or just a normal server owner. You get server owners, well, server communities or gaming communities that have large and complicated servers. Um, and for them, if you end up using this, you can add your custom convars here. I tried making a lot of things, UI related, but out of the experience that I've gained from making RSM, managing RSM, talking to people actually host servers. I do not host servers anymore. I've realized that they don't like clutter. People do not like clutter. So I tried keeping this as clean as possible, and this was my take on it. So you get your host name, which is your server name in a server list, your server tags. If you click there, it will take you to a web page that shows you all of the available tags you can use. It's your standard server description editor. Welcome to Mara server. You do not need to add the backslash line, this as you do in a normal batch file. Close this. Do that. Server URL is the website button on the server list. Server banner URL, your banner URL. This is for the Rust Plus or Rust Companion app logo, the little circle thing. Then you get your server maps. If I remember correctly, I read something that they were gonna discontinue Baron, so this might not be in when you guys use RSM anymore, but you'll still have procedural Craggy Island and then the custom map. Craggy Island is used to test maps, if you have not known that. Well, not test maps, but servers. So it's a test map. Then you get your custom map URL. You can just put a direct link to your custom map URL in there. Also, if you've noticed, the bar on the side moved away on its own. I spent probably like 5 hours doing that for some reason. I wanted to. And yeah, it's just so you can easily edit this without needing to click there at the top right. That does the same thing. Hides and shows it. For now, we are going to use the Craggy Island. Oh, if you want to use a custom map, just click custom map. This is not applicable. Craggy Island is a fixed map. It's an island map. It's very small. It has a single island on it. Very, very small. These are not applicable. They do nothing if you adjust them while it's on Craggy Island. The only times these will ever do anything if it's on procedural map. Get your player count, sensor player list from from what's it called? Battle metrics? Yeah, battle metrics. can edit your radio list if you wanted to, your list of URLs. Here you can choose your default game mode, which is vanilla. Yeah, if you click here, you will get an exclamation of, explanation of game modes. Get your server networking. By default, this is pre-filled to host a single server. If you want to host another server, I hope you know the drill. You need to change these values. However, I did not make this video to explain how this works. I will probably do that in the far future. However, there is a really great explanation that I made in the fast answers and questions channel in the Discord server. Arc and password. I forgot I did this for this as well. Yeah, and then you get your server.cfg convars. So RSM pre-fills this from the values you entered up there. So if I wanted to add test to the name, if I can spell test and click save, it's gonna add it there. However, you have the ability to add your own stuff here as well. So if I were to, what did we say? I wanted to limit the server FPS to, let's say, 30, because it's not a real server. I'm gonna lower the server frame rate so it doesn't, use up all of my CPU. So we can just do fps.limit. I can spell limit. Let's just use 30. If I click save, it will add it to the top, and then the changes that RSM handles, it gets added to the bottom, which is all of the values at the moment. So we can click save, and it'll save it in a config file somewhere, in the RSM folder to be exact. And yeah. So over here, we have the server installer. Now this, I tried making it as, how can I put it, good looking as possible that I could think of. However, I ran out of ideas. Until I eventually think of a new design, this is what it's going to look like. So you get your server branches, your main branch, your staging, aux01 and aux02. These are commonly used, so I'm just going to keep them there instead of removing them and adding them back and removing them and adding them back. We get staging and main. So if you want to install or update the server, just click there. Standard procedure. And it's already up to date and you'll get a log. If you think something wasn't right, you can just turn off the auto close and it'll stay open so you can actually see what happened. I already tried getting the logs from the SteamCMD window, however, I did not win at all. Something to do with Windows pipes and all that stuff. I'm not too clued up on that. Verify your server files. Also, if you want, if your server is stuck or just refusing to work correctly, I added a perform clean install button. It deletes all of your server files except for your data files. So in your server folder, you will have Carbon. If you use a Carbon framework, you will have an Oxide folder, which is not here. I did not install Oxide. And you will have a server folder as well as RSM. All of those folders will be ignored as to preserve your data. It will delete everything else, okay? Except for RSM as well. But it will delete Rust dedicated, where all of your server stuff is, the server files to make the server work. Your server data, meaning your saves and all of that, is hosted here. Well, this does not look complete because it's not. Okay. So let's go over to the player management. We can actually get back to this later. Oxide mod. Oxide mod is very basic at the moment. They are working on a self-patching solution, so I'm actually looking forward to that. I do plan on adding a version number here as well as auto update again. However, this is basic, as I've explained before. You can install it. If you want to install it, just click install update. It will download it in the background. You can work here if you want, and it'll extract it and install it. And you have your config options that Oxide provides, all within a nice little neat UI. And now let's get to the new modding framework. Carbon. Carbon is basically built off of Oxide, but to utilize the Harmony modding system that Rust added, which is runtime patching, meaning you do not need to manually update CarbonMod every time Rust updates. I know it's a lot more convenient than Oxide. However, Oxide still has my heart because it's how I learned the Rust community is with Oxide. Carbon is something new that I am not too familiar with, unfortunately. I cannot give proper explanations on this or how it works, as I do not fully understand how it works, and I have not used it myself personally. So, because CarbonMod is also constantly changing, I did not hard code their config into a UI, just out of fear that it's changing too much. So I added the option to open config file. If you click there, it's going to open your default code editor. Mine is VS Code. You can use Notepad or Notepad++. Does not matter. It's up to you. And you can just change the values here. Once you close it, I do not remember. I think you need to reload CarbonMod as well. You can do that with a command. But I will also not be installing Carbon since I just installed Oxide. They are not compatible with each other. If you want to uninstall it, just click uninstall. RSM will delete the file required to uninstall it. Same goes for Oxide. RSM will delete some files and then verify your server files since Oxide replaces some existing files. Another thing I've noticed is that Carbon added Carbon modules. This is not entirely hard-coded, so what it does, it goes through the modules folder that they have, and it opens up the config file in there and check if it's active or not, and then just displays it here. But if you want, you can also just disable or enable it here. These are all the modules that their framework provide built in. So what I've noticed is they have DRM as well. However, it's disabled by default. DRM is, you should know what DRM is. It's just to protect people from copy and pasting paid plugins. This will keep it on the server itself and not as files. It'll keep it inside the server memory. Gather manager as well, but if you wanted to, you can open config. What are we going to use? Just say open config, and you can edit the module config file here. Pretty neat. And now for the plugins. The plugin installed, the installed plugins list is not completed yet, so I do not want to show it. It is still changing. The plugin installer is semi-completed. I have fully integrated uMod.org for the plugin installer. I'm still busy with code fling and loan design. I'm not a big fan of how I built the code fling setup, so I just want to redesign that, so I'm not even going to show that. And then the plugin updater is also not done yet. So another thing I did was with uMod is I added a login method to it. If you're an older RSM customer, you would have noticed that uMod has a rate limit of 30 requests per minute if you're not logged in. And unfortunately, RSM falls victim to, well, RSM isn't a victim, it's just to prevent abuse of the uMod API. So what I did is I added a method with permission from Mr. Blue and the uMod dev team. I added a login button. If you click login, you can log in with your uMod account. And what RSM will do is, as soon as RSM detected that it logged in, it will take the session cookie and send every API request with that session cookie while RSM for this current RSM session. So if I log in now and I close RSM and open again, you need to log in again. However, the username and password or your session details for uMod is stored within WebView 2, which means I cannot see your username or password, RSM cannot see your username or password. No one can see it except for WebView 2, and it's all encrypted into a SQLite database that WebView 2 uses. Okay. RSM also does not store the session token. It's stored in memory, so that's why as soon as you close this and open this again, it'll ask you to log in again. However, if you click login for the second time, RSM will automatically pick up the token that is there if it's valid, and it'll load it. So yeah, you can then, instead of having a uMod rate limit of 30 requests per minute, you will have a rate limit of 250 requests per minute, which you will never, you should not be able to reach that amount unless you have more than 250 plugins installed from uMod, and RSM decides to, go through all of them at the same time. But in theory, you should not be able to reach 250 requests per minute. So with that being that, let's quickly go ahead and start the server. What you'll notice is RSM no longer uses batch files. As you can see, there's no batch file here. What it does is it uses the Windows API to start the server as if you're double clicking on it. The Rust dedicated but it's also passing in the parameters that is required. And what this means is it allows me to have, well, it allows RSM to have more control over the server process. Since now directly we are using the server process. However, do not fear, you can just close it while your server is up. RSM will automatically detect the server process again and just resume from where it left off. So while this is starting, nothing here will work until it is finished starting up so that the Archon can connect to the server. Hopefully this does not take very long. So it is still loading. I'm just going to go ahead and skip past this. Alright, now that the server is booted up, we can see how it looks like. This is your console window on top, and this is RSM. RSM will show you the current players out of the max players. Just want to minimize this. And it'll show you the queued players, which is in queue to joining your server. Players that are loading into your server, your network in and out. These will differ from bytes to megabytes or bits or kilobits. Server FPS, if you remember, we limited it to 30. That's correct. Entity count, protocol, which is just a version number, protocol version number between the clients and the server. Your server RAM usage as well. This comes directly from the server itself. The last time it was wiped, meaning this was when the save file was created, not updated, meaning created for the first time. And then you have your server's total size on disk as well. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and connect to the server quickly because it is on the same computer as the game. We are going to use localhost and not the IP or the server list. So this should be loading into the server, and in RSM as well, it'll say that I'm joining. Because I'm not in queue, I am joining it. And you can see the network in and out go full blast, and eventually we will see my player populate here. I also added, if you don't want to use this thing on a side, you can just click there and it'll get rid of it. And then you can have the basic information at the bottom. I will probably add the entity count at the bottom as well, since that is an important thing to look at. But for now, we can leave this open and go here. So while I'm loading in, I'm just going to skip this. Alright, as you can see, I have loaded into the server right here. I am joined using localhost, so my real IP will not show there. And for the moment, this is how the player list looks like. You get your username, your Steam ID, your avatar, your IP address, your HP, and then your country flag as well as country name, and your ping. So if you click on a player, you'll have limited options at the time of this video. This is just proof of concept for now. You can kick me, ban me, set off level. Off level basically this makes you owner, and this will make you moderator. And this will just remove both of them entirely. And I just died. Right, probably a bear. But yeah, this is basically just a preview of the current version of RSM for date. You can clear RSM cache here as well. If you're running out of disk space, although this will only be a few megabytes, it will not be a lot. However, let's just make myself off level 2. Oh yeah, player needs to rejoin the server for the changes to take effect. This is a common thing by Rust. I'll just kick myself as well. And then just join back. But yeah, this has been the basic preview of RSM version, the date of this video. Do not see, this is just a preview version. It's not a release candidate. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can join the RSM Discord server in the description. I will eventually get testers before I make this public. If you would like to become one of them, right, just join the Discord server, verify yourself. There's a verification channel that explains how to verify yourself. And then in any one of the channels, the support or discussion channel, just ping me and say, hey, I want to become a beta tester, and I will put your name down on the list. Eventually, once there is a release candidate for beta, then I will send you a link and you can download and test it and provide feedback. And that has been the gist of this video.